Shalom, shalom, shalom. Peace and blessings to the family. Shalom, shalom. It's your brother, Priest Danyaahla, Lions of Israel, Maccabeestv Alliance Council. It's super duper early in the morning, and I'm on my way to work. So I decided while I'm on my way to work, I'm going to talk to the family a little bit about what the Most High has put on my heart to talk to y'all about, right? As y'all could probably see, maybe not, 'cause it's a little dark. Sorry y'all can't see my face, but I'm driving to work. A little dark. It's snowing right now. We're expecting like 3 to 5 inches of snow. Yo, I can't stand the Northeast no more, family. I'm going crazy. I cannot stand living in the Northeast anymore. You know, there was a brother that actually said to me, yo, move out to Arizona. I mean, it sounds good, bro. Right now, in the middle of February, up in the Northeast, where we're expecting 3 to 5 inches of snow, that Arizona thing sounds like a dream. It sounds like paradise, you know? But the reality is, I can't make a move like that, you know? I don't want to get too comfortable in this captivity, you know? Nothing wrong with being comfortable. Nothing wrong with being somewhat comfortable, you know? Making a decent life for yourself. But you don't want to become too uncomfortable, because then you don't do the work with the same vigor that you would do the work, you know what I'm saying, when your situation is not that comfortable. So, you know, if I have a daggone, the cost of living out there in certain parts is so cheap, you could wind up with a house with a daggone swimming pool in the back for what you pay for a shoebox apartment here in, in the Northeast, right? So, sounds good, but I gotta stay here, man, at least for the time being, and continue to do the Most High's work from here. I mean, don't get me twisted. In the springtime, the Northeast is a beautiful place, man. If the weather in New York, Pennsylvania, New Jersey, if the weather was like it was in the springtime year round, I would have no problems, man. But this time of year in the Northeast, I hate it. I'm not even gonna lie to you, family. I hate it. I've been here my whole life, and I'm still not used to the snow or the cold at all. You know what I'm saying? Anyway, I'm hoping that y'all can hear me. I'm trying to talk to the best of my ability, but like I said, I'm driving down to work right now. I know y'all can't see much. It's dark, but it's all good. I wanted to talk to the family about what's going on lately. It's a lot of things that's going on in the Israelite community lately. So I figured while I'm driving down to work, I'd have a conversation with the family, right? How many of you brothers and sisters remember in a PowerPoint I did probably about 2 years ago, I spoke about Project Megiddo, right? If you don't know what Project Megiddo is, put that in your YouTube search after this video and look it up. I spoke in my PowerPoint presentation about Project Megiddo and the Israelites. The Israelites are a part of Project Megiddo, okay? We're included in what's known as Project Megiddo. And some of the tactics in Project Megiddo that's going to be used to sway the public against the Israelites, I'm going to discuss with you today. The first prong of the attack against the Israelites using Project Megiddo is to try to attack the information that we teach. That's what you've been seeing over the last couple of years, right? You had the so-called Kemetic community, the so-called Afrocentric community, the so-called conscious community. They've been attacking Israelites for years on the information in hopes that they would destroy the foundation of what it is that we teach our people, that we are Israelites. And they've been coming against our people with fury for years. But that attack, for the most part, has been a failure. It's been a failure. Maybe they think that they're doing something, but it's actually been a failure. Why do I say it's been a failure? Because the movement is growing. The awakening of our people is happening on a mass level. Yes, you have people that leave the truth and go back into the world, yes. But for every 1 or 2 brothers and sisters that leave the truth, you have 10 people that wake up to their nationality. For every 1 and 2 people that leave the truth. That is a fact. I'm telling you from personal experience with my inbox of people coming from all walks of life, discovering this truth. Not just from the platforms that we as Israelites teach, but from the very platforms that hate the Bible. From the very platforms that bash the Bible, you have people waking up to the truth through those platforms, on those platforms. So that element of Project Megiddo has somewhat been a failure. Although they continue to do it, it's somewhat been a failure. The second prong of the attack on the Israelites through Project Megiddo is they're going to come against us through the media. Excuse me. What they call popular persuasion, or the media. That's what you're beginning to see happening now. You're beginning to see the media paying attention to the Israelites, right? And trying to smear the Israelite movement through their media. Now, the Covington, shalom, brothers and sisters, the ones y'all that are tuning in, I appreciate y'all. Y'all see what time it is in the morning, man. I'm on my way to work, like I said. But yes, they're trying to attack us through their media, right? Now, for some strange reason, some Israelites think the media is your friend. I don't know why. I don't know why. But some of you think the media is your friend. I don't give a damn if you're a friendly Israelite. You want to be friends with the world, or if you're what is considered to be a more militant, more confrontational Israelites. The nations hate us all equally. You need to understand that. They hate us all equally. Now, what happened was, when our good brothers, shout out to my brother Maccabeestv, shout out to Chief Ephraim and the brothers from the House of Israel that was in DC, right? With that whole incident in DC. Everybody saw the videos and all the press coverage that came with it, right? Now, I apologize, man. My daggone holder for my phone is all over the place in the car. So, again, now we're dealing with phase 2 of Project Megiddo. And for those of you brothers and sisters that are just joining in, like I said, a couple of years ago, I gave a lecture on what Project Megiddo is, and how Project Megiddo is basically the plans to come against the Israelite movement. We're part of what's known as Project Megiddo, right? So, what you had with the whole Covington incident was, when the newspaper articles started coming out, you were seeing all types of camps in the newspaper articles that had nothing to do with what actually took place at the Covington rally, which I'm going to talk about in a minute. But you were seeing all types of camps and their pictures being used by the media. That is a tactic to put all Israelites under one umbrella. You have to understand that. Why do I say that? Because the so-called white men, the so-called Jews that run the media, they have a website, and the website is called the SPLC, the Southern Poverty Law Center. And the Southern Poverty Law Center, which is controlled by so-called Jews, went through great pains to make what is called a so-called hate group list. And they have a lot of camps on that so-called hate group list. And they list the name of the camp. They list where the camp is located. They know who is who. They absolutely know who is who. So when you see the media using pictures of camps that had nothing to do with what took place in Covington, that is a tactic that they're using to try to paint the entire movement with one brush. They know exactly what they're doing. And they're going to social media, such as YouTube mainly YouTube, and they're finding different videos, and they're using different videos that brothers are posting to try to persuade the public that that is the totality of the Israelite movement. That's what the so-called white man that calls himself a Jew is, including Sam Kirstenbaum. Now, Sam Kirstenbaum, I believe I'm saying his name right. Y'all can correct me if I'm wrong. Sam Kirstenbaum writes for the Jewish Forward, right? Now, for some reason, my brothers, I'm going to call them my brothers. Listen, I'm about to offend some people. I'm about to offend some people, but that's okay. I'm going to call them my brothers. Sam Kirstenbaum, for some reason, some of my brothers in the Torah-based community, y'all think that so-called Jew is your friend because he smiles and beguiles in your face and shakes your hand and smiles at you and talks in a soft tone and tells you everything is okay. I'm telling you, none of these so-called white people that call themselves Jews are really your friend. None of them. None of them. Today are the real Jew, which means he is not. It's as simple as that. So none of them are really your friend, period, right? Now, this guy, Sam Kirstenbaum, just did an interview with IUIC, which I don't know when they're going to put it up. He just did an interview with them, right? And he was asking them about the Covington incident. They had nothing to do with the Covington incident, but this is what the media does, right? They're trying to make us all into just one gigantic group, right? Now, not only is the so-called Jewish media doing this, but you have so-called black people and black media and black YouTubers that are doing the same exact thing because they hate the Bible. So they're bringing people on their platforms to try to smash and smear the Bible. That's what they're doing. I was watching a video last night, right? And it was about certain things that's going on in the Israelite community amongst the women, right? And how certain women are being mistreated in the Israelite community, so forth and so on, right? And what you had was, you had some Christian women that were on the platform, all in their emotions, because they're just emotional, right? What they're doing was, they were trying to paint the entire Israelite community based on certain videos that they see on YouTube. So because they hear one camp or one brother say something, that's how we all think. So a lot of these so-called black YouTubers, really what they are is they're chocolate-covered white people, because they're using the same tactics the white man uses, the same exact tactics, nothing different, right? What I found ironic about that interview, this is what I find ironic, right? How are you gonna bring Christians on a platform to talk about pedophilia, abuses of women, adultery? Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? I don't know how many of you brothers and sisters are aware of an organization in a Christian church called the Church of God in Jesus Christ, also known as COGIC, C-O-G-I-C, COGIC, the Church of God in Jesus Christ. That is a big, big, big organization within the Christian church. Let me explain something to you. There is so much pedophilia. Listen good to what I'm saying. There is so much pedophilia in that one organization. I'm not even talking about the whole Christian church. I'm not even talking about the Catholics. I'm not even talking about the Pentecostals. I'm not even talking about the Seventh-day Adventists. I'm not even talking about the Mormons. I'm not talking about none of that. One organization, the Church of God in Jesus Christ. There are so many pedophiles in that one organization that they built a website dedicated to show and expose all the pedophile preachers in that one organization. That's how bad it is. When we start adding in the Catholic Church and the Pentecostals and the Baptists and the Seventh-day Adventists and the rest of them, we're talking about the pedophilia and homosexuality in the Christian church is out of hand. It's out of control. So I could not understand how it is that you bring Christians on that will take the baser elements of the Israelite community and make it seem as though the Israelite community has more of this going on than anywhere else. That is crazy to me. It's absolutely crazy. If I were a Christian, I wouldn't talk about pedophilia. I wouldn't talk about adultery. I wouldn't talk about homosexuality. I would not talk about nothing. Because whatever's going on in the Israelite community, and this stuff is going on in the community, it absolutely is. Whatever's going on in the Israelite community pales in comparison to what's going on in the Christian church. We all know that. The Christian church is a playground for pedophiles and homosexuals. That is a fact. That's not an opinion. That is a fact. All right? You have the guy Peter Moses that murdered his wife, right? And I believe her children, if I'm not mistaken. Peter Moses, right? That is an anomaly in the Israelite community, meaning that doesn't happen all the time. It was wicked, it was evil, but that doesn't happen all the time. If you go to YouTube and type in the search bar, pastor arrested for murder, yo, you're gonna get like a dozen pages like 12, 13 pages full of videos of different pastors that have killed their wives. Like, can Christians really, really, really talk about the Israelite community? It's insane to me. However, again, going back to my original premise, this is all a part of Project Megiddo. Like I said, first step of Project Megiddo was to come against the information that we're teaching. That did not work. They're still trying to come against the information, but it's not working. The more that they attack the Bible, the more that they attack the Torah, the more that they attack the Israelites, is the larger the movement grows. For everyone that leaves the movement, 10 more join. And they see that. So phase 2 is to attack us through the media. And that's what's happening. The so-called white man and his media has been attacking the movement, and you have Israelites, even the ones that call themselves Kemetic, even the ones that call themselves West African, or whatever the hell they want to call themselves, they have picked up on a story that the so-called white man is pushing, and now you're propagating the same nonsense because you have the same hatred towards the Israelites as the so-called white man. We can see this clearly, right? Clearly we can see this. In addition, I was watching the video last week of the I'm going to call them the Torah-based, the panel of brothers that was talking about what happened in Covington. Let's talk about what happened in Covington just for a second, right? I reached out to Brother Zion Lex, Chief Avdiel, shout out to him. I spoke to him and I thanked him for being objective in his analysis of what the panel was saying. I thanked him for being objective, because if Zion hadn't spoke, I'm gonna be real, and if you mad, then just be goddamn mad, okay? Because what I'm saying over this video, Zion, if he didn't speak, there was no objectivity in that video whatsoever. Because to me, in my opinion, they were doing the same thing the so-called white Jewish media was doing, and the same thing that the so-called Kemetic and so-called conscious media is doing. They're trying to smear certain Israelites. And I felt that same vibe in that video. Let's talk about Covington for a second. You had what was called a Native American march. That's what you had, right? Now you have branches of the Israelites. I'm not having a doctrinal argument right now. I'm just talking. You have branches of Israelites that believe the Native Americans are Israelites. You have branches of Israelites that believe that, right? So, you have a Native American rights march in Washington, D.C. The brothers that were down at the march in Washington, D.C., they believe the Native Americans are a part of the 12 tribes of Israel. They believe that. I also do, but this is not about doctrine. I'm making a point. So, they were down in Covington to speak to the Native Americans and to teach the Native Americans according to their understanding of the Israelite doctrine. That is why they were there. Those so-called white people that was there with the MAGA hats, those teenagers, that school, they were there to be rabble-rousers. They were there to mock the Native Americans. That's why they were there, period. Anything that happens subsequent to that, happens subsequent to that. But we have to keep the facts in perspective. What the media did was the media twisted the story and made it seem like the Israelite brothers went down there to cause trouble. No. The Israelite brothers went down there to teach who they believe to be their brothers. And these so-called white guys, who, by the way, there's videos of them, I mean, not videos, there's pictures on YouTube of that same school putting on blackface, mocking a basketball player at a basketball game. I don't know if all of y'all know that. I'm sure most of y'all know that. But maybe all of you brothers and sisters don't know that. There's a video, right? There's a video on YouTube where, I mean, not a video, I keep saying video. There's a picture, right, on the internet that shows those so-called Covington teens. What it shows you is they are in blackface and they're surrounding a player on an opposing team at a basketball game. Them kids is racist, straight up. And they get from their parents. And the MAGA hat, that you see right there, that is nothing but the daggone new Ku Klux Klan headdress. That's all it is. I don't give a damn if Kanye West and Tommy Sotomayor is wearing that thing. They're out of their mind. When you see a so-called white man wearing a MAGA hat, that is a message. Just like up here where I live, when I see a so-called white man and you live in the goddamn northeast, not the south, you live in the goddamn northeast, and on the back of your pickup truck, you got a Confederate flag. You think what more do I need to know? You from the south? You ain't from no goddamn south. You live in Pennsylvania, you live in New Jersey, you live in New York. Why do you have a Confederate flag on the back of your pickup truck? Because you believe what that flag represents. You stand for what that flag represents, or supposedly represents. So you're sending a message without saying it. Those MAGA hats, they're sending a message without saying it. They couldn't have shown up at the daggone rally for the Native Americans dressed up in feathers and Indian garb, or dressed up in blackface. They couldn't do that. That would have been too obvious. So they wore the MAGA hats. They were there to start trouble. And I'm troubled, or I'm bothered by the fact that our Israelite brothers, right, when they are assessing the situation, right, that panel, when they were assessing the situation, they did not take into consideration that the brothers that were out there peaceably to speak to who they perceived to be their brothers. That's why they were there. And I noticed that was not mentioned. All that was mentioned is that, oh, them brothers were down there, they were saying blah, 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 and that's not us, okay? And so I appreciate the balance that Brother Zion Lex brought to that conversation. I spoke to him briefly, you know what I'm saying, online. I spoke to Chief Uziel online as well, and I'm probably gonna sit down with those brothers, right? But we have to have balance in the community. Like, we have to understand that the media is not our friend, right? And so we don't have no business as Israelites throwing each other under the bus. There's no Israelite community, whether it's Torah-based, whether it's the Kingdom of Yah over in Dimona, whether it's the One West camps, let's keep it all the way a buck. None of the Israelite communities are perfect. There's problems in all of them. All of them. Whatever you see going on in the Kingdom of Yah is also going on in the Torah-based community, is also going on with the One West camps. We have problems that we need to fix, which we're going to get to in a minute. There are problems. I apologize if the video's a little wobbly. This phone mount in my car is, I got to get another one, right? So I apologize. But really, this is just about listening. It's not really about the visuals today. It's about listening, right? There are problems in our community, absolutely. Like, I'll be the first to tell you. Absolutely, there's problems in our community. But to throw each other under the bus is not helpful. Because that so-called white man, like I said, Sam Kirstenbaum or whatever the hell he is, he knows exactly who is who. He knew exactly where to reach out when he wanted to find IUIC. The New York Post know exactly where to reach out when they wanted to find Chief Ephraim. So why the hell are we seeing articles in the New York Times, articles in the Washington Post, throwing all types of camps in pictures, associating them with the story when these camps weren't a part of the story? That is a part of Project Megiddo, all right? And the last step is, after they paint the Israelite community in a bad light, that is going to give them the green light. Once they sway the public against the Israelites, once they do that, then they have a reason to begin to move on some of the camps. That's the next step. So again, Project Megiddo, step one. Step one was to come against the knowledge. That's what that whole war with the conscious community was about. That's why they sent Vocab Malone and James White against the community as well. That's why they did that. That was step number one. That did not work. Step number two, which we're in right now, is they're beginning to use popular persuasion, as the scripture calls it, or the media, to try to persuade the people against the Israelite movement. So they're not going to use brothers and sisters that are being responsible with what you're posting on social media, brothers that's being responsible with what you're posting on YouTube and on Facebook. They're not going to use you as the face of the movement. They're going to go and try to find the most controversial elements or videos on YouTube and use that to smear the whole community. That's what they're doing. And step number three, they're going to come against a lot of the camps. And I perceive, and again, I don't care if you're offended if you hear this, so what? I perceive a lot of you Israelites, not maybe the ones that's watching, but some that will hear this, I perceive a lot of you niggas is scared, man. A lot of you niggas is scared. When I hear Israelites talk about being good citizens, where's that in the scriptures? Where's that in the scriptures? And when I talk about being a good citizen, Being a good citizen means that you're not going to teach what the Bible says, right? The Most High doesn't say that we are all equal. That's what Martin Luther King and Abraham Lincoln said. Abraham Lincoln said that all men are created equal. The Bible does not say that. The Bible don't say that. The Most High said that Israel is above all nations. Period, point blank. So you got to bring that out if that's in the scriptures. To hell with how somebody feels, or you're trying to spare somebody's feelings, or you don't want to be perceived as being racist. If the Bible says that God put Israel above all nations, that is or would be considered to be racist. Period. And if you don't believe that, then you don't believe in the Torah. You don't. It's as simple as that, right? So I just want to say that. I know I'm probably going to ruffle some feathers, like I said. That's okay. I'm good with that. But now that we understand what is happening, what we're seeing, my complaint is that as Israelites, some of us, we are not behaving responsibly with the things that we're doing and saying on social media, man. I said this in another video. I'm going to say it again. Before you hit the send button or the post button, if you want to post something on social media, if it's a camp video, if it's whatever, if it's something on Facebook, something on Instagram, before you post it, take a moment, take an hour and think about it and how it's going to be perceived. Because once you post it, you can't take it back. You can't take it back. And in a lot of cases, we as Israelites, we're giving the media ammunition. We're giving it to them with the things that we're doing. There are a lot of problems in the Israelite community that nobody wants to talk about, nobody wants to touch. Period. Right? I did a video about child abuse and child molestation on my channel. And I noticed Israel don't want to touch that video with a 10-foot pole. You don't want to touch it. You don't want to touch it, right? And this is a problem that's going on in our community. It is. It's not just our community. So we're not going to allow the media, whether they be the so-called white man or so-called black man, we're not going to allow them to paint it as though it's a uniquely Israelite problem, because we see that that's what they're trying to do. We understand that this is going on in our communities in general, right? If you're from the Caribbean or the West Indies, you know pedophilia is an epidemic, man. You talk about islands like Jamaica, you talk about islands like Santo Domingo, you talk about islands like Puerto Rico. Man, pedophilia is almost a way of life down there. I'm not talking about the ones that know that they're Israel, I'm talking about in general. This is a problem in our community, period. And when we talk about it, a lot of Israelites don't want to touch it. I had a video that we did where we brought forth the victims of child molestation, brothers and sisters that experienced this thing when they were young. I did a video on it, and Israel did not touch that video with a 10-foot pole. That video has been out probably about a year and a half, and I don't think it's reached 1,000 views yet. 1,000 views yet, because as soon as brothers and sisters see the title, you scroll right past it, because you're not interested in having a real conversation about things that go on in our community, right? And then when these things happen, and people go to the media and express these things, the media is quick to want to, run the story, because it's a negative story about the movement. So sometimes we have to be out here talking about these things too, so that when the media starts saying these things are going on in our community, we could be like, well, we are addressing it. We know what's going on in the community. We're addressing it. We're dealing with it. We're not ignoring it, okay? We have to do these things. We have to do these things, because if we don't, the media is right up their alley. It's right up their alley. And I really don't understand why Israelites, especially if you still, okay, let's say you had a bad experience in a camp, right? I don't understand how Israelites are going to people that hate the Bible to tell your story. Like, why would you go to Vocab alone to tell your story? Why would you do that? To me, that makes you suspect right away the minute you do something like that. You're going to go to the enemy of your God, the God of Israel, the one that hates you being an Israelite, the one that wants you to leave being an Israelite to go back in a church where there are more pedophiles than you'll ever find in the Israelite community. He wants you to leave the church and come back to the pedophile Christian church. Leave the Israelites and come back to the pedophile Christian church. He wants you to leave knowing that Christ is a black man and come back to Caesar Borgia. And you're going to run to that man. You're going to run to that man to tell your story. Instead of just turning on your own YouTube camera, if you got to make a video that bad, turn on your own camera and tell your story. Why are you running to the enemy of God? Why? Listen, I'm just going to say it. Why y'all going to Garfield for? For what? For what? It doesn't make no sense. I mean, I have no personal gripe with the brother, but I also know the brother does have an agenda against the Bible. He does. And y'all all know it. You all know it. Because the thing about it, this is my thing, right? Why would you bring, if you're going to bring the victims on, you bring the victims on. To bring Christians on the platform with the victims is insane to me. The Christian church is 10 times worse with pedophilia than the Israelite community could ever be. You want to talk about people having AIDS and different diseases, sexually transmitted diseases? You think that thing is not rampant in the church? Especially with all the homosexuality that's going on with a lot of these brothers in the church, man? Are you kidding me? So when I see something like that, I say to myself automatically, agenda. Period. That's my take. That's where I'm coming from. That's how I see it. I don't have a problem with the issues being addressed, but it's the way that Israel is addressing the issues and who you going to. It doesn't make no sense, man. It doesn't make any sense. But we have to do better, Israel. And when we see wickedness in the community, we got to speak about it. When we see evil in the community, we got to speak about it. It doesn't matter who it's coming from. It doesn't matter how well known, how beloved the person is in Israel. None of that stuff matters. When we see evil in this community, we need to talk about it. And I'm tired of it. I'm tired of it. And every time I get a phone call from like I got a phone call the day before yesterday from Sonetta, right? And he's asking me about certain things that's being said in the Israelite community. And I'm always saying to myself, why are people always asking me? I mean, I understand why people ask me, but at the same time, I don't, because I say to myself, I'm like, yo, I've been in this way of life now 26 years. And all praise to the Most High. The Bible tells us in the book of Proverbs, I believe it's the 26th chapter, I could be wrong, somewhere within there. The Most High said a good name, speaks about a good name, right? And I've tried my best to maintain a good name in this nation all the years I've been here. I ain't perfect. I'm definitely not perfect. I definitely have my flaws, but you don't hear a lot of stuff about me at all. I've tried to maintain that. So I don't understand why it is that people come to me and ask me these things as though it's me out here doing this stuff, right? I do understand in a way, because it's an opportunity to paint us all with one brush. That's what's going on, family. And the sad part about it is, you got black folks that's doing the white man's job for him, right? Because there's no balance. If you're going to talk about pedophilia, child molestation, rape, sexually transmitted diseases, talk about how it's affecting all of our people. Don't just pick one community, or don't just, because people have spiritual beliefs, okay, I'm just going to talk about people that believe in the Bible. I'm just going to talk about people that have God consciousness. So it's only the Moors and the Muslims and the Israelites, they're the only ones that have that problem. You got to be kidding me, man. You got to be kidding me. So this is the attack that's going on the Israelite community. But a lot of times, a lot of brothers, man, you're not being wise. You're not being wise in the way that you conduct yourself, in the things that you say. And I'm always the type of person, I contact people. When I see things on social media that I don't think is right, I'll come into your inbox and be like, yo, what's up with that? Or if I don't know the brother, and I know somebody that knows the brother or the sister, I'll go to them and be like, yo, what's up with that person? What's going on with that? That's not a good look for the nation. See, I'm going to tell you something. This is the way I see it. This is the way I see it, right? I take everything that happens in the Israelite community, I take it personally. Now, you might wonder, what do I mean by I take it personally? Because I understand that it doesn't matter whether it's my camp or not. And this is what I'm trying to convey to you, brothers and sisters. It doesn't matter whether it's my camp or not. When something in a community goes wrong, they say it's all of us, right? I was watching that comment board yesterday. When they talk about the Israelites in a negative light, they say all camps, all of us, everybody. And they say people that's not in camps. If you just believe you're an Israelite, we're all the same in their light. All of us. So I take things personally that I see on social media. A lot of brothers and sisters, you have this mindset, well, it's not my camp. It ain't me, so I don't give a damn. You should give a damn. And you should not take the opportunity when the media talks to you to throw other camps under the bus. Whatever your personal differences with other camps, handle that thing behind the scenes, but don't go to the 6 o'clock news if they come to you and they start asking you a question. Don't go to the 6 o'clock news and throw the whole movement under the bus, because I'm gonna tell you something. When you throw the whole Israelite movement under the bus or another camp under the bus, you throwing yourself under the bus. When you get up, you're gonna have some damn tire tracks on your back as well. Because the media is gonna take your words. You might say to yourself, well, I ain't talking about our camp, I'm talking about that camp. You're gonna do that, and the media is gonna take the story, they're gonna twist it and make it the whole community. We're seeing that with the Covington incident, like I said, right? It was a couple of brothers that was out there, but they started using images from all types of camps that wasn't there. That's deliberate, all right? So you brothers and sisters have to really be careful of what it is you're doing and understand the war that it is that we are in. The nations are at war with us, man. And the reason why they have something called Project Megiddo in the first place is because the nations are fearful. Don't you know the scriptures tell us in the book of Ezekiel, and it also tells us in the book of Revelations, that when we stand upon our feet as a nation, great fear is going to come upon these nations that see us. And that's the reason why they have all these different tactics that they're using, like Project Megiddo and other ones that we may not even be aware of. That's why these systems and these tactics are in place. They're in place because the nations fear the uprising of the nation of Israel. They fear that thing. So they have to do whatever they have to do to try to disturb the movement. Just like when we were rebuilding the temple after the time of the Persian captivity, when we were rebuilding the temple, the nations came and tried to hinder us building the temple. They tried to hinder Israel rebuilding the temple. And they were successful for a certain amount of time. When you go back and you read Ezra and Nehemiah, and also in the Apocrypha, in the book of Esdras, it tells you that the nations had some success with stopping us from rebuilding the temple in ancient times. You see what I'm saying? Well, we are rebuilding the temple again, but we're not rebuilding the physical temple. We are the temple, the nation of Israel. We are the temple. And the temple is being restored or being rebuilt. So just like, that's why the Bible says in the book of Romans chapter 15, verse 4, those things that were written aforetime are for our learning. So assuredly, if it happened to our forefathers, it's going to happen to us. So as we begin to restore or rebuild the temple, which is the nation of Israel, the nations are going to try to hinder that. That's what Project Megiddo and other projects are all about. So we have to be very careful about the things that we're doing and we're saying on social media, man. And brothers that are in leadership positions in camps, you got to be careful how you dealing with the Lord's flock. Be careful how you dealing with the Lord's flock. Be careful how you deal with your wives. Because at the end of the day, your wife is an Israelite as well, all right? And there were certain women in ancient times that the Most High held in great esteem. There were certain women during the time of the apostles that the apostles held in great esteem. Our sisters have a great role to play in this awakening of this nation. A lot of brothers don't take that thing into consideration. When you read the book of Acts about Dorcas, right? When you read a book in the book of Acts about Dorcas, when she passed away, the scriptures tell you that the apostles, they weep, they cry, because she was essential to the movement. She was. She was a great help to the movement. Yahushua had women that ministered to him. Christ, he had women that ministered to him. All right? We have a lot of valuable sisters in this walk that could be of assistance to us, but we have to deal with them right. A lot of you brothers have wives that really are not, I mean, you know, if you have a wife that's not contentious and she's pleased to dwell with you and she treats you right, you don't got to bash or beat that sister down just because. You don't have to do that. You don't have to do that, and you should not do that. You should not do that. The scriptures speak about the woman being the weaker vessel, man. And you give her honor. And you treat her right if she's treating you right. Period, point blank. Because a good sister that's going to stand by you in its truth is hard to find. I'm telling you that. I've been in this walk a long time, right? And from the majority of my years in this walk, I didn't have a woman that was for me. I didn't. The women that I dealt with, a lot of times they was pleased to dwell with me, but they weren't really into the truth like that. They would pretend in the beginning to be into the truth because they into you, they like you. So they'll pretend to be, but then once you get past a certain amount of time, their true colors begin to show, right? It took a long time for me to find a sister that loved the Most High the way I love the Most High, loved the truth the way I love the truth. It took a long time. And I think sometimes brothers take that for granted, as though sisters like that fall off of trees. We live in a world where I don't call America a kingdom, I call it a queendom. Because in America, women have all the power. They really do. They have all the power. Our women, the Israelite woman, she has way more power than we do. So in this world, she can be and do whatever she wants to do. You see? When I go up, I've worked in corporate America for many years. I tell y'all that, right? I used to work for NBC. When I worked for NBC is in 30 Rockefeller Plaza. I used to work for NBC back in the days. And when you go up and down the floors in the NBC building, all the corporate and executive jobs where there's so-called black or Hispanic people there, it's our women, not men. When you go to the sports department, NBC Sports, right? At least when I was there, it was headed by Dick Ebersol. He was the head of NBC when I used to work there, right? The sports department. When you go down to the sports department, you see nothing but so-called young black and Hispanic women working. No, it's white men and young, attractive black and Hispanic women, because they lust after them. So he'll hire them. He's not hiring you, okay? You go up to the corporate floors, which is floor number 50, 51. I'm giving y'all specifics because I really used to work there. You go up to the 50th floor, 51, 52, 53, 54. That's where the executives that run the corporation, that's where they are. You go up there, the head of NBC at the time, oh man, what was this dude's name, man? I forget. Anyway, you go up to his floor, right? And he has a so-called black woman that was his receptionist, right? She rides into work every morning in a limousine. A limousine picks her up and brings her to work every morning and brings her home every evening. And she works for the so-called white man at NBC. What am I saying? I'm saying that our sisters are in a position in this world where they can get a lot of things accomplished because they can get further a lot of times than we can. When I was in that building, you know what black people were doing in the building? Black people were the maintenance men. You see a black man, he's security. You see a black man, he's in the mail room, in shipping and receiving. You see what I'm saying? That's where I was. I was in shipping and receiving. That's where I was. You know what I'm saying? That's where we were. You know what I'm saying? But Eve was all up on the floors. So when you find sisters that are willing in this world to walk with us and help us build this nation, you have to honor them and treat them right, man. And you have some brothers in Israel that you'll have a good woman and you'll beat her down anyway. You'll destroy her anyway. And that's bad business, right? And then when a sister leaves, she's bitter and she goes to YouTube and she makes videos, and our enemies, the media, the so-called white media, and also so-called black people that hate the Israelite movement, they pounce on the opportunity to portray the movement in a bad light. Forget about the fact that mistreatment of our women goes on in every community. Every community. I'll give a damn what you into. You could be into Chango, you could be into Vodun, you could be into Islam, Christianity, you could be an atheist, you could be a Christian. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. All the same things go on in all the communities because we as a people, we are a broken and destroyed people to begin with. So it's everywhere. But we don't have to give our enemies and those that hate the Most High, we don't have to give them the ammunition to be able to make these videos. So what I'm saying as Israelites, we have to know the war that we are in, and we have to do better. We have to treat our children better. We have to protect our children. And part of protecting our children is that we know that there's pedophilia going on in the community. A lot of it. A lot of it. We need to speak about that thing, man. And if it's going on in the community and you know who it is, you need to out that person and shame them. Because when something happens to a little 8-year-old girl or a little 8-year-old boy, they're never the same. One of the reasons why there's many studies out there, I'm sure y'all notice, right? A lot of times when you talk to adults that are lesbians or adults that are, males that are homosexuals, a lot of them will tell you that when they were younger, they were molested. And they wind up hating that opposite sex. They wind up hating them, right? You have just recently in Brooklyn, right? You had that pastor, and he was molesting his 8-year-old daughter. And I believe how they found out is that the little girl, she told her aunt that she hated boys. And her aunt asked why, and then she explained what was going on to her, what was being done to her. And this was a pastor. So I don't understand this whole thing about trying to paint the Israelite community being bad. Like Christians shouldn't have nothing to say. This was a pastor molesting an 8-year-old girl. The 8-year-old girl now says she doesn't like boys. So there's a slight chance that she's going to grow up and be a lesbian because of what happened to her as a child. We got to talk about these things. We have to talk about these things, family. We do. Now, my understanding is they do a protest every Sunday in front of the church where the pastor presided, if I'm not mistaken. I'm going to try to get out there one Sunday. If I have strength, I'm going to try to get out there this Sunday as well. Because we need to be, that's another thing. I'm going to end off with this. Right? That's another thing. We need to be more present in our community. When I first came into the school, I came in not too long after or right around the time of that Howard Beach incident that took place with a brother Michael Griffin, right? I believe it was Michael Griffin in Howard Beach. He was messing around with that little white girl. And so he went to visit the white girl or whatever like that in Brooklyn in Howard Beach. And he was chased by a mob of white teens and with bats and all that stuff like that. He was chased and he ran across the highway. I may be getting a little bit of the story convoluted because it was so long ago. But he ran across the highway and was struck by a car and he was killed, right? And I remember the elders of the school, they actually went out to Howard Beach in the midst of the storm where the white folks in the 80s and the 90s in Howard Beach in Brooklyn, they were openly racist. Right here in New York, not the deep south with the Klan, right here in New York, they were openly racist. Call you a nigger in a minute, in a heartbeat. And the elders went out there, set up a camp in the midst of white Howard Beach. And it wasn't like 50 brothers. It was like maybe 6, 7 brothers. I remember that video. That was one of the first videos when I came into the school that I purchased. I purchased that video and watched that. And the elders went out there without fear to the community and they taught and they told those so-called white people that God is going to visit them for what they did to that brother. The Most High was going to visit them, right? And they went to the parents' house and gave them flyers and was talking to them. What am I saying? I'm saying that they were active in the community. They didn't have to be Israelites, practicing Israelites, for us to have compassion on our people. So the elders actually went and showed themselves present in the community to the people that we're going to stand with you on this. You see what I'm saying? And so what I'm saying is, in a situation like this, where you have a predator pastor that was preying on an 8-year-old girl, and if I'm not mistaken, the story is the person that's running the church right now, he is also a pedophile. He was not arrested, but he is also a pedophile. So they have rallies every Sunday in front of this church. And so I was looking at the flyer the other day on the young lady's Facebook page, and I was saying to myself, see, I need to go. The people need to understand that we as Israelites, we don't condone stuff like that. It's not just about standing on the corner and yelling and screaming and cursing the other nations out. It's not just about it. But let me give you the converse side, right? Because one of these brothers at the summit, they said, oh, the Most High, it's not about going out in the streets. Yes, it is about going out in the streets. When you read the book of Proverbs, the 1st chapter, the Most High said, wisdom crieth without, in a chief place of concourse. Not in your temple or your synagogue. I'm talking to you Israelites. Not in your temple or your synagogue on the Sabbath, sitting there beating the goddamn drum for 4 hours. That's not doing the Lord's work alone. Yes, that's part of praise and worship. And there's nothing wrong with praise and worship. Nothing wrong with that. But we're supposed to go to our people. The prophets went to their people. When you read the book of Jeremiah, the Most High told Jeremiah to prophesy against the pastors because they did not go out in the gaps, which is the highways and the byways. They did not go and visit their people face to face. And you have a certain segment of our Israelite community of elders and teachers that believe beating the drum on the Sabbath is doing the work of the Most High, and it's not. Maybe for you it is because you're not a prophet. Maybe for you it is because you're not a prophet, really. You see what I'm saying? But the prophets, the Most High puts his spirit on them to go out into the highways and the byways and to wake Israel up. It says, cry aloud. How are you crying aloud if you're not going in the streets? How you doing that? Spare not. Lift up thy voice like a trumpet. Is that talking about indoors? No, that's outdoors. And show my people their transgressions. You got to go to our people in the highways and the byways. And you also have to tell the other nations that God is against them too. The Lord didn't tell Ezekiel to do that. That's not written in the book of Ezekiel. Set your face against Mount Seir and tell them I'm against them. That's in the scriptures. So yes, we're supposed to go out in the highways and the byways, but also we're supposed to be doing other things as well. When things like this go on, we should be more present amongst our peoples. I learned that from my elders. Now you have some will say, no, we ain't supposed to be doing that. But I learned that from my elders, particularly Elder Marshall, may he rest in peace. Marshall was heavy into that stuff. I remember. He was heavy into that stuff. And I learned from him, and that was a good lesson to me. You see what I'm saying? So we need to be out here when these things go on, because when the media comes against us, we can show forth our works and be like, no, we're not just on the corner cursing out the so-called white man. No, we're not just on the corner yelling at our people, but we're actually present in our community trying to make changes, man. Trying to make changes. Not everything we have to wait for Christ to come back to do. Not everything we have to wait for the Messiah to come back to do. Not everything. Nah. That's why I did that video about the listing with all the different Israelites with businesses. We don't have to wait for the Messiah to come to do that. We don't have to wait for that. We don't have to wait to put certain things in order in this nation, man. We are the government of the Most High if we endure to the end. We are that government. The Most High told Isaiah, I will restore your princes and your judges as of old. That's what you see happening right now. The government of the nation of Israel is being formed before the eyes of the nation. The nation of Israel is back on this earth in our right minds as Israelites, keeping God's commandments through the faith of Christ. And the nations see that and they fear that. And so they want to come against us, and they're going to come against us. And I'm gonna end off by saying this. The video probably already is an hour because I see I'm not too far from work, so I've probably been talking for an hour already. I didn't even intend to do that. But I'm gonna end off by saying this, right? Even if you try to blend, I'm talking to Israel now. Even if you try to blend in and not arouse suspicion about yourself amongst the other nations, because you're not going to say nothing that's going to be perceived to be offensive, right? Even if you do that, I want to be clear. Facebook is an arm of the goddamn CIA, period, and FBI. It's a government tool. They know exactly who you are. They know exactly what it is you believe. And when this government is ready to move on the Israelite movement, a lot of you brothers that's on some, I'm going to call you play it safe Israelites. A lot of you play it safe Israelites that want to blend in, I'm telling you, they're going to come against a lot of y'all too. Because at the end of the day, they are against this movement, period. So you better wake up and smell the coffee. And if they're going to come against you, you might as well tell them the truth. I'm not sitting down with Sam Kirstenbaum and not tell him that God said that Israel is above all nations. I'm not going to do that. And I'm going to tell him the truth. And if he wants to call it hate, oh well, it's the Bible. It's the Torah. It's the Torah. that you say that your rabbis believe in, that you say that you as a so-called Jewish man believe in, right? And believe me, the so-called white man that calls himself a Jew, they believe and see themselves as being better than everybody else. But when they do it, it's not called hate. It's not called hate. But when we say it, it's called hate. And other Israelites actually co-sign that garbage, that trash, man. And that's the shame in the whole thing. All right? So with that, I think I'm just about done saying everything I need to say. I'm sorry that I really couldn't focus on you brothers' comments, you brothers and sisters, your comments, whatever you had to, whatever you had to say. I apologize. I'm driving, as y'all can see. I'm on my way to work, so I take my eyes off the road. I'm gonna go right into this this guardrail. Don't want to do that. Don't want to do that because these insurance companies are funny status, man. They don't want to. They don't want to cover the damages on these cars. I had a hard time with my insurance company with my last car. You know what I'm saying? It was the accident was clearly the other person's fault. My insurance company was lowballing me, lowball. So I don't want nothing to happen to this joint right here. But I got to get back and forth to work. So I'm sorry I couldn't see y'all comments, but giving all praise, honor, and glory to the Most High God, Yahweh, in the name of His Son, Yahweh Shai, who I perceive and believe to be the King of Israel and the Messiah. I appreciate you brothers and sisters listening in. When you can, man, go check out the last video I did, the one right before this one that's on Maccabeestv. I was doing a live stream, and the live stream crashed on me on Sunday in the middle of me doing the live stream, and I saw some of you brothers and sisters were asking me if I was going to come back on Sunday, but I had to be on a conference call for my camp, so I reposted the video on the channel. So when you get a chance, go ahead and go check that out. Some good information in there about health and exercise and working out, so forth and so on. Some good information in there. Also, Passover. Let me talk to y'all really quickly about Passover. So this year, Passover, we got, and I know again, Israel is so contentious, it's just crazy, but I'm just going to say it. We wound up with a date. Shout out to Elder Matthias of the Apostles of New Jerusalem. The Most High blessed the brother with a very, very good understanding of the way that the Israelite calendar works, the way it works, right? We came up with a date of April the 18th for Passover. However, as you brothers know and sisters know, with the Maccabees Alliance Council, you have like 7 camps that's a part of the Maccabees Council. So we've been rotating the Passover to different cities every year. Last year we had the Passover in the Poconos in Pennsylvania. This year we're supposed to have the Passover in Cleveland. So what's going to happen is we're going to do a service here on the 18th, which we believe to be the date of the Passover here in New York City. So if you want information on the Passover, you can reach out to me, 877-53-LIONS, L-I-O-N-S, 877-53-LIONS, or just inbox me on Facebook, Daniel Benjamin. On the 18th of April, we're having the Passover in New York City. On the 19th of April, we're going to go out to Cleveland. And the reason why we're doing this is because the brother Ash, he got the place for the Passover in Cleveland. It's their year to host it. He got the place, but he had to get it for the 19th. So we're going to have the Passover on the 19th in Ohio. So if you are in the Midwest, it doesn't matter whether you are a part of a camp or not. Y'all know we don't rock like that. If you're anywhere in the Midwest and you can make it to the Passover in Cleveland, you definitely want to come out to the Passover in Cleveland, April the 19th, right? If you're in the New York City area, you could come to the one that we're having in New York, or you could go to the one in Cleveland on the 19th, all right? On the 20th, which is the Saturday, we're having the Truth Explosion Part 2. And there's a video for this also on Maccabeestv. The first Truth Explosion was a success. It was a bigger success than I expected it to be. The turnout was really good. And so we're having the Truth Explosion Part 2. The first Truth Explosion was in Cleveland, and you had Zabak, Brother Zabak from the House of Israel. He came out and he did a powerful PowerPoint presentation. It was great fellowship. You had a lot of brothers and sisters that came out and did performances, so forth and so on. It was a really good time to see people from all over. People from Chicago came. People from Detroit came. It was a lot of people from a lot of different places. It was a great event. So on the 20th, which is the Saturday after the Passover, they're doing part 2. This time, General Hashar is the featured speaker. So Hashar is going to be out in Cleveland. He's going to be giving a PowerPoint presentation on April the 20th. And the event is hosted by Brother Brandon T. Jackson. Y'all know that Brother Brandon T. Jackson, he's a comedian, but he's also an Israelite. He woke up to being an Israelite. Unlike, you know what I'm saying, the comedians that mock the Israelites, that make videos and dress up in the garb like us and mock us, this brother is really awoken to his nationality. All praise to the Most High for that. So he's going to be the host of the event. So again, you can reach out to me, 877-53-LIONS, or you can reach out to me, Daniel Benjamin, on Facebook. And that's pretty much it, family. So I'm about to get out of here now. I'm almost to work. Most High bless you and your brothers, and sisters. And I'll be talking to you again real soon. Lord willing. Shalom.